So sadly, this is the last opportunity we'll have to get together to do one of these. And I wanted to take the time to just talk a little bit, look a little bit back on your tenure as director. And one of the things that I thought might be interesting is to ask you to talk about perhaps what was one of your greatest challenges as a director or as an ODOT employee, looking back on your career. What's one that comes to mind?
It's, I think as director, what you want to do is you want to unleash the creativity of your people, which means you have to build the environment to take risk, to manage risks, right? Rather than to avoid risk. And I think early on, probably not only at the Department of Transportation, but I would probably say in state government, risk avoidance is a challenge that we have. And migrating to the attitude that you have to manage risk, which will allow you to, I think, be a little more creative, be innovative. Creating an environment that realizes that there may be stumbles. And that's difficult in our world because sometimes our stumbles play themselves out in the media. But there's a takeaway. There's something that can be learned, that advances the practice as we move forward. So early on, that was a challenge. I think over time it's gotten better. I think we've embedded a continuous improvement ethic. It's a mindset. I believe attitude is everything. And I think that's been the evolution. So what started out as a challenge, and it'd be a challenge for any leader, you got to create the right environment. You do that by modeling certain behaviors, and you do that by attracting and surrounding yourself with folks that understand just that. That's part of leadership, to empower your people, to create that environment that they can unleash the innovation and initiative that's embedded in the majority of the public service servants that work for the Oregon Department of Transportation.
And so, speaking of innovation, are there any projects that come to mind that really spark that or celebrate that innovation?
It's a nice little phrase that rolls trippingly off the tongue. I've used, and I'm proud to use it, because we're standing on the shoulders of folks who came before us, as we all do. But as I say, in 1919, the state of Oregon was the first state to put the gas tax on the table, to implement the gas tax to fund transportation, and soon the nation followed. Well, I'm very proud that in July of 2015, after about a decade worth of work, we were the first state in the nation to implement a road usage charge as we make a transition, given policy and technology and fuel efficiency, the transition from the per gallon charge to the per mile charge. It's a big deal. I'm very proud. I think it truly embodies the spirit and the notion that we are pioneers here in the state of Oregon. And we showed our pioneering spirit with Origo.
And even as the journey across the Oregon Trail was sometimes fraught with danger, I know the birth of Origo, having been there, was not necessarily easy. And there were probably times when you wondered if it was going to cross the finish line. And not only has it, but now we really are seeing other states and even the nation as a whole begin to speak about this funding as a way forward.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right, Tom. And again, it's, we saw the evolution of having some very big thinkers, innovation, transitioning to now implementation. And that, at times, was a very painful journey, to be very honest with you. But I'm of the opinion nothing worth having doesn't come forth without some type of tension and effort, no doubt. And that's what we saw with Origo. We should be very proud of that, because I do believe, as we continue to look to the future, and you look to the conversation about fuel efficiency, or you look to the conversation about electrifying the transportation system, it means people aren't going to go back to the gas pump. So as in 2001, when the road usage fee task force came up saying, hey, our revenue stream's in jeopardy, we need to look at something different. Well, they did, and we executed and implemented it. And what was important in 2001 and beyond is a front and center conversation in 2019 as we're having a carbon discussion in bending the greenhouse gas emission line. The transportation sector has a responsibility, with 40% of the greenhouse gas emissions coming from that sector. Electrification, moving in that direction, is a significant conversation today. So what role do we play? That's where we've been over the course of this legislative session.
So with your departure, there will be a new director. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of tension among folks. fear of the unknown and that sort of thing. And I wonder if there's anything that you might say to staff who are seeing this change come about, any words of wisdom on how to approach or act with a new director on board?
I guess be yourself. I think we're blessed with principled people who understand that they serve something greater than themselves, and in doing so, they do that for the betterment of the lives of our fellow Oregonians. That's who we are as a Department of Transportation. That's who the people are. And I think as the Commission navigates the journey and selects the next director of the Oregon Department of Transportation, I think he or she will be blessed with a great staff of principled people who understand the importance of serving the state of Oregon here. So don't forget who you are, because you're good folks. And as long as you play off those principles, adhere to a strong work ethic, everything they have shown me as I've had the privilege of being director, this organization is going to be fine, and the next director will be able to write new chapters in the transportation world.
So any just thoughts or feelings as you're just a little bit of time from your final day at the department, and I know goodbyes are never easy, and
right.
Big celebrations are never something that some people want to do, and that's fine. But I just wonder what thoughts are going through your head. I'm sure a lot of people kind of wonder, what is the director after so many years thinking about?
I am still humbled and honored to be able to say that I was the director of the Oregon Department of Transportation. It's a pretty heady thing. You get to do cool stuff. You get to work with tremendous people, some of the best and brightest in state government. Now, we have our share of folks who maybe their behaviors aren't comport with what I think are right, but overall, we've got great people. My takeaway is from day one, when I came to the chair, I always wanted to do what I thought was right and just. It is just that simple ethic. I was brought up that way in my family. And so as I look to June 30th, I think I'm going to be able to say that over the course of time, I did my very best to make sure that the decisions, the deliberations, the way I ran this organization was right and just. And I feel pretty good about that.
Good. Matt, it's been an honor and a privilege.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate that, my friend.